Welcome, Ranjit sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
So we will begin within 2 minutes, sir.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, no problem.
Thank you so much for coming, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Rajiv sir, Ranjit sir is here.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Rajiv sir, we can hear you, sir. Ranjit sir is here, sir. He has joined us.
Welcome, sir.
Hello, Rajiv sir. कैसे हैं आप?
Fine, sir. आप कैसे हैं, sir? Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for inviting me, sir.
Distinguished participants and partakers, it is a glorious moment to extend my warm wishes to everyone. I, Ms. Riya Singh, Galgotias University, is pleased to welcome you all on the fourth day of Forensic Agora Faculty Development Program on Interdisciplinary Research Forensic Science, organized by Department of Forensic Science, School of Basic and Applied Sciences, Galgotias University, in collaboration with Forensic.India Private Limited. We have received enormous responses from all of you yesterday, and we hope we will be able to keep up you with your expectations. Now, we begin with the program with our speaker, Dr. Ranjit Singh, founder and CEO, SIFS. Sir is an adroit and skillful professional with more than 12 years experience in the field of forensic science. He has completed his MSc from Delhi University and later under the guidance and mentorship of renowned anthropologist Professor MP Sachdeva from University of Delhi. He has completed his training and PhD. He is also qualified with CEH and CHFI from EC Council. He has many national and international papers as well as books published on his name. He has also provided with numerous legal report for Honorable Court, Delhi Police, UP Police, NIC, ESIC, NCB, and many other government organizations and law enforcement agencies. He has been into the arena of forensics since 2005 and till date running with the same positivity. He has given His expertise, opinion in about more than 3,000 cases, his contribution and work experience are not limited within the nation, as he also visited and delivered lecture in the Department of Chemistry in UCC, that is University College Cork, Ireland, and Trinity College. He also worked with honesty and ethics, having full enthusiasm and energy. Sir, I request you to kindly take charge.
Thank you so much, Ria. Thanks to Madam Vinny Sharma for giving me opportunity to speak, along with the other member of Institute of Forensic Science, Galgotias University, Rajiv sir, Sunit sir. Thank you so much for giving me opportunity to speak. As this is a faculty development program, so I was very much in doubt at what I'm going to speak. Then I took a help of Vinny ma'am, and she helped me a lot to develop this content for you all. This content is basically going to be useful for the students as well as for the faculty. Why it is for the faculty? So that faculty can guide the students if they want to think beyond the forensic science laboratory and central forensic science laboratory. Because we all are talking about nowadays how we can make our career in forensic science, where is the scope, and there is a limitations in forensic science laboratory. There are lots of problems related to the rules and regulations. There are problems related to students, those who wants to join a forensic science laboratory, but they are not qualified. And as day by day it is changing, and recruitment rules are making more easier for the forensic science students so that they can enter into the forensic science laboratory. But as we all know, in India, more than 80 university and institutions providing the MSc and BSc courses in forensic science. And we do not have such capacity of taking intake students into the forensic science laboratory. Although in almost all the states, they are opening lots of mobile unit where they are recruiting the forensic sciences students. But a number of students coming nowadays is more than what is the absorption capacity we have in our forensic science laboratory, as well as in Central Forensic Science Laboratory. Initially, they have started several other things also, so that they can absorb more and more forensic science students, like examination, like facts and other. But yes, we are struggling with our employment, and as we are being a forensic science student, we do not have much scope in other fields, like as the other people can go and do, like commerce people, they have a lots of things, they can go anywhere. But we, being a forensic science student, we always have an aim, and we always thought to work in a forensic science laboratory or a forensic science work related to. So in today's talk, I'm going to discuss about how we can work in a different area of forensic science beyond the FSLs and CFSLs, because we have many other things which we can work. But yes, the things required to be explored. And there is again, I always say that there is a difference between if you want to work as a forensic expert in forensic science laboratory, or you want to work as a forensic professionals in forensic science field. So that is the only difference. Work is almost, I can say, a similar. In forensic science laboratory, we have a different procedures, and in forensic science profession, we have a different procedures. So there are some procedural differences always there. But yes, the work which we are going to do is almost similar. So here, I'm going to start with this image. Here you can see all the stones, they are of the different shape, different shade, different designs. And similarly, we all forensic science students have different kind of capability. Sometimes students always ask me that what is a scope and which field should I opt to make my career. You can get idea from these stones. Whatever the you have knowledge and you have interest, only you can make your career, or only you can be a good successful professional in that particular area. By saying that, if I say a cyber forensic have a good scope and you go into the cyber forensic, it will be injustice for you if you do not have interest related to the cyber forensics, or you do not have the basic concept of understanding the things. If I say ballistics or the forensic toxicology have the good scope, and by just following my words, you go into the toxicology, but there is very less scope you find later on, or your interest is less. So you are the only one who is going to decide that in which field you want to go. People, many times they said that there is a competition in the private sector also. So I used to say there is a no competition. There is a no competitor in the field. My competition is only with me. If I am doing good today, it's my success. If I'm getting failed today, it's my failure. It's not because of some other people are doing good. If I'm not doing good, so I'm not getting a good result. I'm not getting a good number of clientele, a good number of work. So we all the students, particularly you all are the unique in your fundamental things, in your capability, in your skill. But yes, you require to just sharpen the skills which is required for different sectors, which is required for the different sectors where we are going to work. I'm going to discuss few fields. In a private forensic professional, one of the common field which people are working from more than 70 years in India, more than 70, 80 years in India. And you can provide your opinion, particularly related to the question document examination, fingerprint examination, and nowadays cyber forensic examination and audio video verification. They are also done by the lots of expert, and after preparing the report, you can go as expert witness into court of law, provide the examination in chief, and face the cross examination. So this is almost a old job as a forensic professional in the private sector. Nowadays, people are opting a more other professions, and how we are different than other people. Like if I say the second profession, cybersecurity professionals, you all, particularly the student of forensic science, they have a doubt that how we can go into the cybersecurity professional other than where the other people, those who have the more knowledge than us, like BTech, MTech in computer and IT, or the BCM, CA, those have the more exposure than us. I agree with you. Somehow I agree with you. And then cyber forensic skill, and the people who are from the core computer background, like BCM, CA, MTech, BTech, you have the one specific things, that is an investigative mind. We all, being a forensic science professionals, students, teacher, we have the investigative minds. Investigative minds, we always think, whatever the work we are getting in a different way. And by this way, we can be a different than what a individual who having a good knowledge of coding. He might be good in pen testing, he might be good in a firewall security, he might be good in different other skills related to the cyber forensics. But yes, you can learn the things because you have the investigative mind. Number one advantage. Second advantage, you being a forensic science student, you know in a proper way how to maintain the chain of custody and how to secure the evidences. Because at the end of the day, if any dispute happen in any company where you are working as a forensic professionals, and company hire you as a forensic professionals, they want you to be a person who can procure, who can secure, and who can seal the evidences which can be useful for future if there is some legal disputes happening between. So nowadays, lots of corporate people, they are fighting with each other. They have a lots of competition. They have a data breach issue where they are hiring a cyber forensic professionals. I'll discuss one by one with the role in details also. Forensic auditor, nowadays it is also in very much demand because of the different rules and regulation changed by our Indian government, and not in the India, even the foreign country also. When the taxation change, our auditory statutory bodies will change and they require some different things. So one can be a forensic auditor, one can be a risk assessor, a big corporate, not, if I say not the big corporate, even the corporate with having a turnover of 10 billion or more than 10 billion, they are also hiring the risk assessor. So you being a risk assessor, you can assess the risk, you can guide the company, and you can guide the legal team, you can guide the IT team of the company, that how they can secure the things and how they can feel. In India, as we know, more than 50 plus companies who are working as a general insurance companies and the life insurance company. In insurance sector, there are lots of frauds, and nowadays they are hiring a fraud control officers in their FCU, fraud control unit. Recently, I sent few people in Tata AI and Future Generali in SDFC Life, where they need a people with investigative skill. Why they can hire you, and as of now they are hiring the BCom people, as of now they are hiring the BSc and the other normal graduate and postgraduate. Why they are preferring you? It's just because you have some special knowledge, you have some special professional knowledge, like you can verify the document, you know that how the document look like, you know what are the security feature in the document, you know that what are the basic security features which you can see, like a expiry date of any driving license, passport, and other AML documents. So you know, and by just seeing a document, you can see that yes, this is a fraud during the purchase of the policy individual has done, because now there's a policy, many policy, they have the advantage due to the age of the individual, age of the vehicle, and age of the property, material related to the property. So if there is some fire incident in any property, and they are saying in this there was some metric ton of the wood or the material was there, but yes, you being having a knowledge of forensic, you can assess, you can see that what is a volume of that place and how much the thermodynamics or the intensity of fire will work. Then you can access that either they are claiming the right things or not. So you have a very good scope in a fraud control officers as a fraud control in the fraud control unit. And nowadays I can say almost every insurance company, they are preferring a forensic sciences students, MSc forensic sciences student. Particularly, I request all the MSc pass out students, if they want to join any insurance company, you can join. And that place, you know, you can connect to me. I'll get you know that how you can enter, and I will connect you with their HR team. Particularly why they are hiring you, the reason behind that, they are taking a help of some other. You being a fraud control officers in fraud control unit, you are going to connect with many other people, like you are going to connect with the surveyor, you are going to connect with the insured, you are going to connect with the private forensic science professionals, you are going to connect with the legal team, and by getting all the document, by using your forensic mind, you can report to the claim team either this claim is payable or not. And by that way, companies are saving, nowadays they are saving in a very huge number of amount. That's why they are preferring a forensic science students in their fraud control unit. Grievance officers, where some disputes happen, so they can hire the individual who have the forensic science background. And many like company like SDFC Life, they have recently hired Tata AIG, they have recently hired, and they used to discuss with me that from where we can hire the students, from where we can take our students, those who have the good knowledge about this kind of investigation. Particularly what actually we need to do there, we need to check the documents, we need to check the document with our forensic eye. That is the only difference between the normal people and us being a forensic science student, being a forensic science professionals. Here I'm going to discuss one by one what all the role you are going to be perform in a corporate, in a company where you are going to hire. See, if you have the dream to work in a forensic science laboratory, so this content might not be useful for you. But yes, if you want to work as a forensic professional, this content is going to be very much helpful for you. What role actually they are expecting, the corporate expecting from the cyber forensic professionals? Number one, protecting the IT infrastructures, network and data, because nowadays data is everything. And whatever the activities going into the network, whatever the things they are going into the network, recent lots of pop-up fraud, you can check into the Gurgaon, and in many of this IT companies and the pop-up fraud where the data was leaked from the network, I was the one of the investigator from the Gurgaon Cyber Cell Police. So this is the one role which you have to perform, protecting the IT infrastructure and the network of data, preventing data breaches and monitoring and avoiding the attacks. So you can give the by monitoring the things, you can give to the IT team and the professional, those who are working as a firewall security officers, you can give them by analyzing your things, you can give them yes, these are the trends going on by which this data can be breached, and by this we need to prevent the data. Then set and implement the user access controls and identity of the access management system, whatever the systems either they have, whatever the tools there are many other tools, there are many other things they are working. Monitor network and the application performance of the identity and their activities. If there are any irregular activities happen, like in many corporate, or I think almost all corporate, they have some provision that you cannot access your personal email ID, you cannot access a pen drive. And if you are finding such kind of activity, irregular activity, you can report to your management, you can report to your legal team. Perform the regular audit to ensure the security practice, and you can make any if any irregularity you are finding, you can report to the authority. They require you to deploy the endpoint detection and the prevention tools to detect any malicious activity happen from the outsource, any hacking parameters going to be happen. Set up the patch management system, update the application automatically. Implement the comprehensive vulnerability management, whatever the system requirement as of the date as of the updation is required, and across all the assets which is present into particular premises and having the access through the clouds. Work with the IT operations, those who are those who are making a preventive systems by which they can prevent the data breach. So you can be the one of the recovery or the continuity planner with them. And you can work with the HR as well as the team lead to educate the employee, because everyone are accessing the different email IDs and different other portals where they are working. So there is chances that those who have already got the knowledge about the phishing and other attacks, but you can be a cyber forensic professionals and having a mind of forensic, you can educate your employees, you can educate other people of the company, and they always follow the policy, train the trainer policy. They used to ask the senior people to train the junior people or the new employee, so that such kind of suspicious activity they can avoid. For this, there are many certifications available, and by having such certification, apart from your MSc in cyber forensics or BSc in MSc in forensic science or BSc in forensic science, if you have some certification, you will get the extra advantage. But certification is the secondary things. Skill and knowledge is the primary things, because on the basis of skill and knowledge only you are going to answer their query, whatever the query they have. So I'm going to list some certification. You can do a good market research about these certifications, and then only you can join, because these are the certification which is nowadays required. And these certification list you can see on the LinkedIn and other things, where the companies, when they advertise their recruitment drive, they ask for such kind of certification. So you can choose as per your need, as per your interest about these certification. And this is the CEH, the normal certification, which is many of you might have, or nowadays people are getting a good entry into the cyber forensic by having this certification. And particularly the CEH from the EC Council is the one which is more reliable for the industry people. And if you have the certification related to the from the CEH, they are giving you are getting an advantage during the interview. Then certified information system security professionals, then certified information security manager, then certified cloud security professionals, certified information system auditors, then CompTIA plus security plus. So these are the certification. Certified in risk and information system control, certified information privacy professionals, right? Cisco certified network associate security professionals, Cisco certified network professional security. So these are the certifications which are available and which is nowadays in a good demand by the companies. And at past, I have seen from 6 months, I have seen the many companies, those who have advertised, and they recruit the cyber security professionals. And here is the list of few companies, those who have recruit, and few of students from the MSc Forensic Science. I know those who are working over there. And these are the companies: Symantec, Critical Tech Private Limited, Satrix, Simune, Cybersecurity Hypes, Concosync. So these are the company, those who are hiring the professionals having a skill set and these certification, they because when you are going to job for the forensic science laboratory, they ask you the master degree in forensic science, chemistry, physics. Similarly, these basic certification, why they ask that yes, you have some basic knowledge that how the system work, what are the network, what are the other things. That's why you can choose whatever the certification you want as per your interest, as per your skill. Then auditor, a forensic auditor nowadays also is a good role where the people are engaging forensic science professionals. Generally, they conduct to prosecute a party of the fraud or imprisonment of any kind of financial frauds, assess tracing in the bankruptcy case, on the money laundering cases. So your role will be checking principle and practices of the accounting if two companies are having a dealing or they are having some financial things, and during the audit as well. So fraud auditing and the fraud accounting, because nowadays in a maximum places there are fraud like payroll fraud, there are fraud like fake vendor registration frauds, where the people are involved, where the people are not actually serving the companies, but they are getting the payment from the company. So such kind of auditing and the money which go from the company, you being a forensic accountant, you can help the company to save such money. And study on the fraud and the corruptions, what kind of corruption actually nowadays trending. You can try to read more and more case study where the forensic auditors are appointed to provide their services. For forensic audit, to become a forensic auditor, there are few certification as well. Like this certification, many of you might be aware about that. That is a certified forensic accountant professionals, then certified bank forensic accountant, and many head offices where they maintain the data system, where they maintain their security server systems, and where they maintain their all the other secure information. They ask that a certification like CBFA, certified bank forensic accountant, certified insurance forensic accountant. IRDA recently advertised few vacancies where they require the CIFA certified professionals. So if you have the knowledge of accounting as well as the forensic, how you can arrange the things in the form of document and which have the evidentiary value, because ultimately forensic is related to the law. So at the end of the day, we have to present that evidence into the court. And for that, they require to have the certification related to the forensic accounting. Certified stock market forensic accountant. Lots of fraud nowadays going in the stock market as well. So this certification is particularly where you are to apply in the BSc, NSc, and other places. You require to have such certification with the basic knowledge of accounting. Then certified in e-commerce frauds. Companies like Flipkart, Amazon, Myntra, and all the big e-commerce company, they hire an auditor with this skill, those who have the skill of fraud investigation, but related to the e-commerce, because in e-commerce they have a different kind of systems. One is from the seller, another is like buyer portal, then the coupon creator, mediator. So different, they have the zones. So from where the data and from where the fund is leaking, you being a auditor of having a knowledge about the e-commerce fraud and having this certification, you have a very good scope in this e-commerce companies. And nowadays, not only the e-commerce, even the e-education companies, they are hiring lots of certified e-commerce frauds like a Byju's, an academy. They are also hiring many e-commerce fraud people. And recently, if you just follow their page on the LinkedIn, you will find their recruitment and you'll find their requirement, actually what they want. Then certification in forensic accounting and the fraud detections. CFE, this is a well-known certified fraud examiner certification, which is ACFE and CFE, two well-known certified fraud examiner certification is important. Certified public accountant. I will send all these certifications to the Winnie ma'am, and she'll share with you so that you can get a more idea about from where you can get this certification and who, what organization, those who are providing these certification. Then certified forensic and the audit analyst. And these are the firm recently hired like KPMG, Deloitte, ABG Partner, Ernst & Young, E&Y. Recently they hire many people from the UK and UK places. So I have a few known of my friends, those who are working in E&Y. FTI Consulting, Dixon, Hughes Goodman, Space Consultants. So they recently hired many forensic auditors with this certification. And a few of them, I know that they have the MSc in forensic science and they are working in these organizations. Apart from this, big four companies also hiring the certified auditors. Like if you just get the good, knowledge about this fraud auditing and you having the skill of your forensic science, company like Pinkerton, Iris, they are hiring the many people, those who have the MSc in forensic science. Risk assessor, that is another role of the job where you can look into that, and by having the interest, you can make your career as a risk assessor also in the many corporate. So for that, they require the arrangement for the organization to risk assessment and appoint those undertaking risk. What are the risks actually can be to the company, either if the companies or the venture capitalists or the angel investors, if they are taking any help, so they are taking any steps, so they can hire a risk assessor to give the outline actually what risk going to be in the future. Then your role will be participate in the risk assessment, whatever the business they are going to do, whatever the business model, either business model is feasible scope after the 1 year, after the 3 year, after the 5 years. So you have to give the risk assessment by having a market work, and then alert your supervisors as well as your employer to what are the risks actually you can perceive in the futures. Report changes in the workplace. If you think that there are something going to be, if some team is not properly working and you have some whistleblower or some internal information that this risk can be happen to the company in the futures. Like recently, I'm doing one investigation. Presently, I'm doing one investigation where we have received 3-4 laptops, and they have doubting that they are ex-employee, those who have left and joined to some competitive similar nature of company. They have leaked some information and their business model. So for that, they are working. So even the big companies like those who are buying the other companies, like Akash Institute was bought by other people. So for that, for risk assessment, they require the people like you, being a forensic professional, those who can help them to make the changes in their workplace, and they can scrutinize the people on the basis of whatever the activity they are performing on their network. Ask the employer to take appropriate measure and submit the proposal to minimize hazard, so that there will be a less danger, there will be a less loss to the company. And for risk assessor also, there are some specific certification available, and these are the certification like certified chartered enterprise risk analyst. SERA is the one certification. Certified Risk Manager, CRM is another certification. Financial Risk Manager, then Professional Risk Manager, Risk and Insurance Management Society Fellows. So RIMS Fellows nowadays, IRDA, getting a more advantage to the RIMS Fellow for doing the risk assessor for the, and along with the surveyor at the, and the other insurance company, general insurance company. So they need such kind of certification. Associate Risk Management Professional, this is another certification. Certification in Risk Management Assurance. So these are the company, those who are taking a risk assessor. Apart from the parent company, like a general insurance company, those who are certified by the IRDA, even the life insurance company, having a certification from having a combination with the IRDA, approved by the IRDA. These company are hiring their risk assessor, and apart from that, they are the company like Genpact, Trigent, and Accenture, First Source, Symmetric. This company also hiring the people, and here there are many people, those who are having a normal BCom graduations, they are going. But recently I had a conversation with the company like Genpact and Accenture people. They want the forensic people. I discussed with them why you are not hiring the forensic students. They said they never approached to us. They never reached to us. They do not have, we never interacted with them, that how we can get them into that. I said them, they have a good knowledge about the investigating skills, and they know that what are the kind of risk and what are the trend going on. So you can reach to them. So this is another role. Next is a fraud control unit, which is very common and which is very much required by insurance company particularly. So if you say all the insurance company, they have a three kind of unit. One is a grievance management unit, second the RMC unit, risk control and management, and third is a fraud control unit. These three units are working together to report to, they are reporting to their legal team as well as the claim management team. By assessing their fraud, whatever the fraud can happen by the insurance, by the insured end, and whatever the fraud going to be by some type of fraud happened by the fraud committed by as well. So the role is the responsible for the prevention and detection of the potential fraud across all payment channels, and by reviewing the customer accounts, because mis-sale of policy, the case of the mis-sale of policy is very high on our country, and some big insurance company, they are facing legal consequences just due to they are not, they haven't done the proper check by the customers, and customer, they reported and they put a FIR on the higher official that they have given the wrong promise about the mis-sale of the policy. So you being a fraud control unit, you can take such complaint, and by taking such complaint, you can give the solutions. You can identify either there is some things or not, something right or not. Because recently one case we have came across that one check was taken by some salesperson of the insurance company, and they put that amount around 13-14 lakh, and they sold one policy to the person. Actually, the person was, when the policy was sold, he was not in the country. So how he can sign and how he can present on that call, because on that particular day, the person was in a foreign country. So for that, it seems that either first investigating control, first being a fraud control officer, your duty to verify either the customer is telling the truth or not. So for that, if you receive some their passport, their visa pages, try to get all the pages. We requested to get all the pages so that we can see either this is actually the page of individuals or visa pages of some other person. By having a perforations and a passport number on all the pages, we reach to the conclusion that yes, person is telling the truth. So this is the one example, and there are several other kind of examples are there where you being a fraud control unit officers can help the company. Recently, a few students from the National Forensic Science University, they have joined Tata AIA, and with whom I am interacting, and we are saving a lots of money to the insurance company, and they are very much happy that yes, you have given this solution which is working as of now. So your second role will be identify the fraud pattern, how they are doing the fraud, monitoring the high risk related to the country to country and the related to the other merchant like angel broking and other things are there. Those who are the banker are there, those who are selling the policies, or the individual policy seller are also there. So you can see the risk management related to the particular kind of frauds. Contribute to the creation of fraud rules. You can give the analytical support with the data that these are the trends in the last few years, and there is a possibility such kind of fraud can be happen in the future as well. You can accurately document all the actions taken, and you can report to your legal teams. You can regulate, prepare report, and you can discuss the risk management organizations so that they can give a preventive measures, and your role be as a fraud control officer to report all these kind of risk to the company. Be responsible to the maintaining knowledge and the fraud situation in the industry. Report risk information and finding to immediate supervisor on the timely manner, because once you are going to join, you will be you will be supposed to work under some seniors, and they might not have the forensic background, but you being a forensic student, you can report your findings, and if they will find the finding is good, they can report to their bosses as well. So actively you can participate into team meetings, and for the improvement you can suggest many things. So they are taking the help of the forensic people, those who are even joining and those who are newbies in that particular company. Few certification also available, although being in fraud control officers, they they train internally and then only they can ask. So these are the few certification which is they give the preference, although there is no requirement of such certification to work in the fraud control unit. So certification like certified fraud examiner, accredited healthcare fraud investigator, particularly in life insurance company where they are settling down the death claim, health claim, and other things. They are hiring the MBBS doctor as well. And then fraud investigating courses are there which is provided by the two insurance investigation agencies institutes. One is in Mumbai, another is in Chennai. I'll share the exact name to the Vinny ma'am, and she can share with you all. So they are providing, and their courses are accredited, and their courses are approved by the IRDA, so that those who will get this fraud investigating course, they can be easily they can join this insurance companies as a fraud control officers. And the forms like a life insurance company, you just take all the life insurance company, they are recruiting the people. General insurance company, there are CareerNet Technology, NEET, Conifer, and many other organizations, those who are having the fraud control units. Where we require the fraud control unit, we require where the fraud control unit, where we are dealing with the public, we are collecting the public money. In insurance sector, what we are doing, we are collecting the public money, and by collecting the public money, we are distributing to the needy one, those who are having a claim. So for these, all you can search all these kind of forms where you can apply as a fraud control officers. Then the cyber forensic analyst, and many of you have seen that many police agencies, they are hiring the cyber forensic analyst. And you being a core student of the forensic science, having the knowledge of the cyber forensics, you can apply. And but just you need to have the basic knowledge about the forensic tool like in-case, FTK, and you can work on the customization of these investigating tools, determine the source, where the compromise actually happened, what all the malicious activity happened, and what you can do for the betterment of the client environment. Then host-based, you require to have the knowledge of the host-based such as Windows, Linux, Mac OS, how they work, what are the logs you can procure from that. So cyber forensic analysts, they are asking, and many cyber forensic cells, cyber forensic police stations, they are hiring the freelance experts, and many freelance experts are working over there. We also used to work with the cyber forensic cyber police stations, where they want to particularly they take a help once they want to go for the rate to the any call center or any other places. So they call the professionals like having a skill set of the data procurement, having a skill set of how to understand the network, to understand, to remove the drives, to secure the data. So firewall, web-based database, and other logged identify evidences, these are the activity they require by the cyber forensic analyst. Cloud-based platform investigation is also nowadays a job of the cyber forensic analyst, like any data which is available on Office 365, Google, Azure, AWS, Amazon server, or any other kind of like HostGator. So many number of servers, those who are providing these kind of cloud-based services. Perform analysis for the identify malicious activities, contribute to the for the curation of this threat, and give that knowledge to your investigating officers, to responsible for integrity in the analysis, quality in client delivery, as well as the gathering case-based, caseload intelligence. So this is the important point where we, being a forensic professionals, we know the integrity of the data. We know how we can secure the data, and how we can how our data will going to be useful for the further once it will present as a evidence into the court of law. Responsible for developing the forensic reports, because many cyber forensic analysts, those who are those who are hiring the cyber forensic analysts, they have these kind of tools, and being a forensic professionals and being a MSc in forensic science, they are expecting from the individual that they can make a report, and in the report they can show that what are the breach happened. By that way, they can reach to the police, and law enforcement agency can lodge a FIR on such kind of misconduct happened, and which is investigated by the forensic cyber forensic analyst during their investigation. Few certification as well available for this cyber forensic analyst. CFE, Certified Fraud Examiner. CH is already the one which is very common in CHFI. Network Forensic Analyst, Cyber Threat Intelligence certifications, Reverse Engineering Malware, CHFI, which is very common nowadays for the forensic analyst, and many of us have these certification, those who are working in the either in the private forensic science laboratory, or they are working as a professionals into any company as a cyber forensic analyst. And recently these companies, recently Systul had many students, and I know few students from even the NCR universities, they are working into the Systuls, and metadata technology as well, they are working, and they are doing the good job over there, and their authority are satisfied with their skill set, at least the investigative mindset. Then a forensic attorney, if you want to pursue other than course, so after BSc, you can pursue the LLB, and many law firms, big law firms, they require the forensic individuals, those who have the knowledge of either BSc, MSc, and along with the LLB, so that they can present the scientific principle for the cross-examination or understanding the reports. So they are hiring the people, even few companies like big companies, they have hired the individual. They have given the preference to the individual, those who have the certificate course, diploma course, MSc, BSc, along with their LLB. So whatever the certificate diploma they have in a forensic science, apart from the BSc, MSc plus LLB, they are giving the first advantage, because you will be asset for them, and you will be, this will be going to be a deadly combination, having the knowledge of the law as well as having the knowledge of the technology and the scientific principles. So if anyone of you want to change after the BSc, you can go for the LLB as well, and this have the good scope, because even in cases of the arbitrations in the legal disputes, they are hiring the forensic attorney, those who can actually explain in the court. Because being a forensic expert, you are going to present your evidence and present as a witness of expert, as a witness and as an expert witness. But being an attorney, being a knowledge of the law, you can disclose many other scientific lacuna, many other things which you can directly interact with the judicial officers. Where the forensic expert, we do not have such privilege to discuss with the judicial officers, because we are going to present as an expert witness. So here it will be a very good if you can have the LLB along with your forensic knowledge. Forensic attorney personally gather the objects, substance, chemicals, bodily tissues, so whatever the things and lab procedures they can easily explain to the court. Spend a good deal of time researching, try to search more and more judgment where the court have accepted the witness, expert witness, which kind of witnesses are accepted, and if it is not accepted by the court, why it is not accepted. Sometimes we just heard on the rumor and believe on the rumor, and or the one particular judgment we believe, and we think that this kind of evidences are not going to be accepted in the court. But you just, after doing the lots of research, you will find thousands of report on the same kind of the evidence has been accepted by the court. Only one or two is not accepted by the court, and it's depend upon the without giving any comment, it depends upon that how the case was presented before the judicial officer. That is the main matter, and you being a forensic law graduate, you can explain the things in a more scientific manner. During the trials, you require to work out you require to explain the working of the crime lab, legal officers, and the consulting firms. You can gather the information from all the places, and you can provide these information to your seniors. And later on, once you will become seniors, you can present yourself during the argument as well. So for that, knowledge of forensic and science, forensic science plus the law. So you all have the knowledge of forensic science. Only if you want to pursue this, you can go for the law. And there are some other short-term courses also provided by the Institute of Law, Supreme Court. There are many other, one is in Pune as well. So they are providing the diploma in cyber law. So you can procure such law knowledge along with your forensic science, and you can pursue a career as a forensic attorney. In India, it is a very less people, those who are working as a forensic attorney, but yes, in international scenario, the scope is very high. Recently, these companies, those who have advertised on I have gathered this information from the different sources on the LinkedIn and other places where they have recruit the person with the forensic knowledge. So IBM is the one big company, those who have recruited the persons having a knowledge of forensic science and as well as the knowledge of law. Even the many top cyber forensic advocate, you see, all they have the knowledge of forensic science, all they have done the courses related to the forensic science. And after doing the courses related to the forensic science and along with their LLB, they are doing the argument. So that will going to be a deadly combination once you want to switch to some other area and want to explore some other things related to your forensic thing, apart from your forensic science. You can, these are the things which I have discussed that you can join as an employee, but yes, you can be an entrepreneur as well. And for being an entrepreneur, you in future, you can hire the people of all these expertise and provide the individual services to the corporate as my organization SIFS is providing. So being an entrepreneur, what you require to concept of creativity and the innovations. You can just construct the idea, construct the concept, and you can reach to the market with your entrepreneurship skill. And what actually we require to begin for becoming an entrepreneur, nothing. One is a creation of new organization. It can be registered in any of the act, by the Company Act, by the LLP, can be in a trust, society, or whatever the manner registration authority available in Indian scenario. So you can register a new organization, scan the environment, what all the opportunity you have in the environment, try to hire the people of said particular skill, and try to first explore your skill, what you have. Then with your skill, you can reach to the market, and by reaching to the market, you will get idea that what actually people want. Then you can scan the environment of the environment of the market, and then you can hire the different professionals, those who can work in your organization. Then identification of the opportunity, what opportunity you will get, and the evaluation of the feasibility of the new venture. What actually you cannot just rely, you cannot just sit on having a one scope that I am doing as a handwriting expert, I'll do throughout my life as a handwriting expert. You never know what will going to be happen in the future. You can just, I used to quote this in many platforms. You can just see the example of Nokia. what happened? They have not seen the feasibility. So that's why they are nowadays out of the market. So that's why evaluation of the feasibility of the new venture is very, very important for being an entrepreneur, and particularly in forensics, because in forensics, new kind of crime you are going to see in daily life. And by having the different kind of crime, you require to give the creative and innovative idea of the skills or the preventives. You can give the preventive measures, because nowadays companies, they are taking the help of a professional to set up the preventive measures so that fraud can be prevented in their organization. And once fraud happens, you can be an investigator as well. So few things which is required to create an enterprise and become to follow entrepreneurship process. Number one is discovery. Number two is you want to propose a startup, research and develop a project. Then existence of survival. For that, you require to have the sufficient and satisfied number of clients, so that in future, if you do not have at present any creative idea, your old client can support your business. Success. So your company stability and adaptation. If there is some change happen, you need to adapt such changes so that easily you can reach or you can meet to the expectation of the new persons, new corporate bodies. And independency, like by having the market share, by seeing the financial resources, and then you can change the founder, you can hire the CEO, you can become whatever you want if you want to start your career as an entrepreneurship. Why we need a private forensic science laboratory? And nowadays, because in the government sector, they have the limitations, particularly the companies, corporate, once they want to analyze their evidences, they have the limitations, and they are not able to reach to the government forensic science laboratory. So that's why they are reaching to the private forensic science laboratory. And for that, what you require, you have infrastructure, you require to have affiliations, registrations, and other certifications, equipment for the testing, collaborative effort for the standard testings. If you do not have the all equipment, you can collaborate with some other university, some other testing body, and provide the standard testings, and experience to present yourself as expert witness into the court. So that's why private forensic science laboratory in coming days is going to get more and more business, more and more work. And because as we all know, there are very less into the government forensic science laboratory. But beyond this FSL and CFSL, we have a scope of lots of scope, and we can serve to these corporate bodies by having a skill setup. Even pharma companies, they require to have, because I'm working for the big pharmas, those who are, if you take a name of Cadila, you take a name of Lupin. So all big pharma, we are working and we are providing their reports. They are getting a complaint from the individuals, either the hair is present is a human hair or not. You being a forensic student, you can easily perform such kind of things. Although what they are hiding in their company, in pharma company, they are hiding the B pharma and M pharma. They do not have any knowledge about the forensic science. So that's why they are nowadays, they start hiring the forensic people as well in their pharma company. Either consider the Lupin, consider the Mankind, consider the Cadila company. They are hiring the forensic individual as well. So you can explore any, and I say basic equipments you require in your laboratory. So these are few basic equipments by which you can reach to the company by making your profile that all these testing facilities you have in your company, and by this way you can serve the company. And believe me, none of industry, there is no industry where a forensic science work is not required. You just take a name, you will find all kind of work from these industry, either it's airline, aviations, animations industry, outsourcing industries, nanotechnology, supermarkets, e-portals, textiles. You just name any industry, you will find the work of the forensics. Although I believe that forensic science is a very ignored field till now, even in future, even coming 5 years also, I'm not sure that how people are going to take seriously as a forensic professionals, because you can see this example. One second. Yeah. So before that, I just want to introduce one thing. Very soon we are going to introduce one program which is going to be a kind of episodes. So those faculty want to be a part of that. This is called a chakra review. And in chakra review, this is a wall called a chakra, and VI is related to victim and evidence and the witnesses. So it will be, if collectively, if you'll see, it will be a chakra view. So we have two different vision for having a evidence, victim, and witnesses and evidence which we have at the crime scene. So faculty, those who want to have the interest, we can discuss more about this. As I told, the forensic science is an ignored field, so we are trying to make a more reach to the people by such kind of programs. You can see here the spelling of forensic science, and this is written by a bank manager, assigned by a bank manager, supposed to be written by a bank manager as well. So you can see that how forensic science, they take a forensic science, and they are not at all aware about the spelling of the forensics. And they are dealing with, they are heading the financial organizations like a bank manager where the lots of financial transaction is going on. They are not at all aware about the forensic science. With this, I'd like to take some questions. If anyone wants to reach me on the social media, you can reach through these platforms. With this, I once again thank you, the Galgotia University. Once again, thank you, the Rajiv sir, Vinny ma'am, Sunit sir, for inviting me. And I like to take the questions from the students if they want to ask or if they want to discuss anything related to the scope and other things of the curriculum.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your knowledge with us. Sir, there are some questions in the chat box.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so I'm going to take the question one by one from the chat box. Shyam Singh, sir, what can we do after our graduation? So as I discussed, Shyam, you can go for the LLB, you can go for the MSc Forensics as well. And for that, you require to first narrow down what actually fascinate you, where actually you want to work. You want to hire the different people and you want to become an entrepreneur. That is one thing. Second, you want to present as yourself as a expert witness. So you can pursue in that area. If you want to become a legal attorney, you can be, you can pursue your LLB. And if you want to go in corporate sector, so you can do some certification. By these certification, you can serve that corporate. Vansika, can we do these along with our graduation? Yes, Vansika. So CH and other things you can do along with your graduation. As I told earlier, and now I'm again repeating, you require to check that certification body, what is their basic requirement. Only you can go for your such certification. But yes, few certifications which I know their eligibility is 12th pass. So that certification you can do. Anusri, to be fraud control officer, to be counting as a subject certification enough. For becoming a fraud control officers, they basically, their eligibility is basic. They require a graduate, and graduate with this skill, they will give the always they will give advantage during the interview. You have the knowledge about whatever the things you want to ask. So that's why it will be a good if you want to apply as a fraud control officers. And yes, not about the accounting. They do not require much knowledge about the accounting, but they want to knowledge about how the company work, how the insurance work, what are the different documents required during the procurement of the insurance. So these kind of basic information they ask, and for that you can do some internship in any fraud control unit office in offices in the insurance company before reaching to them for the job. So there is a from Rohit, which domain division more scope other than cyber forensics? So other than cyber forensics, as I discussed, you can go for the document examination, you can go for forensic accounting, and you in a private sector, particularly in corporate sector, you can go for fingerprint analyzer, because nowadays in a biometrics company, they are hiring the fingerprint individuals because they are not much aware about how fingerprint works. And that's why the big companies, they want to develop some software where they want to procure the biometric information of the individual, and for that they require people having a knowledge of fingerprint. And even recently, Interpol advertises post of the fingerprint in their DVI, disaster victim identification. Jyoti, kindly show your social connection page. Okay, so I'm going to this show again. You all can take a screenshot, or so Ambrish Kaushal, he has asked, can lip print be added with the fingerprint? See, the lip print where we found, generally we found on the cup, generally we found on some cloth pieces. That is particularly, I think, as per my knowledge, particularly in private sector and corporate sector, we are not getting such kind of cases. I have received 1 or 2 query where they found the lip print on the shirt of the husband, and wife called that, can you identify the lip print of the individual? And as for the witnesses is concerns, I have no idea about how the lip print can be added as your expertise into the corporate sector. But yes, fingerprint is definitely, they require a good fingerprint expert. I think I have taken all the questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for your all responses. I now request Ms. Kajal Bharti to felicitate our guest.
Thank you, Dr. Ranjit, for elaborating the scope of forensic science beyond the FSL and CFSL and sharing your work with us. Thank you for letting the audience know about the various certification courses in different branches that would help them to explore the field or other industries. It will surely help the participant in thinking beyond the FSL as the only option. Please accept this token of gratitude, sir.
Thank you so much, Kajal. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vinny ma'am. Thank you, Rajiv sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. We highly appreciate your presence with us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am. I now request Ms. Chitra Iyer, Licensing Program Leader, India Royal Philips. She has a technical background in medical chemistry and drug discovery, and started her career as a scientist with multinational pharmaceutical giants, where she was involved in discovering and characterizing new chemical entities in the initial part of her career. She has combined expertise of around 15 years in the area of intellectual property protection, including law firm and in-house practice. She was involved with the first and landmark SEP, Standard Essential Patents, verdict in India 2018, and also cases involving highest damages for TM and copyright matters in India so far. She has held leadership positions in various MNCs in India and Europe, while handling a wide range of technology areas such as pharma, NCE and genetics, biotech, and material science and engineering, to name a few. She was head of the IP department of EI DuPont before moving to her current role in licensing with Philips. She is a co-chair of ASSOCHAM IP Committee, VP West LSE, and is also a member of several organizations such as CII, FI, CCI, etc., and actively supports IP advocacy matters. She received 2 recognitions for her contributions to involving IP landscapes in India. In January 2019, the GIPC Award of Excellence for Invaluable Services and Excellence in the Field of Innovation and IP, and the Legal Era Award IP Star Woman of the Year. Ma'am, I request you to tenderly take over. Ma'am, we cannot hear you. Ma'am, are you there? Ma'am, you are not there. Ma'am, your voice is not audible. Ma'am, could you please unmute your mic?
Chitra ma'am, we are still not able to hear you. We can see you, but we cannot hear you. Your mic is unmuted from our side. No, ma'am, we are unable to hear you,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
there might be some technical issue from her side, you know.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am, now we can hear you.
Okay. I thought I was unmuted from your side, or I don't know what. So anyway, glad to get started. Can you? I'll just start showing my screen. Please let me know if you can see it.
Okay, ma'am.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So you can get started. So thanks for the intro, and I'm very happy to be a part of this talk today. I'm just trying to get my settings right now, and in a minute I can start. Surprisingly, I don't see the full window, but I'll try to manage. It's okay anyway. So today's talk, I think, I will kind of tailor it to different audiences we may have here. I understand we have also people from the law side, and we also have people probably who are researchers. So today what I'll aim to do is make something useful of this talk for people who are the students who want to be entrepreneurs going forward, or people who want to continue in research, or people who want to join the industry. So either ways, I hope you will take back something from this talk that would be useful for you. So I think this is a very, very important subject, and we are also at the junction of where the government is also focusing a lot on intellectual property protection, and there's more emphasis on giving more discounts to startups, more facilities for them. There is the Startup India, where there is a lot of benefits available for startups. There are discounts in patenting fees. There is, so a lot of things going on even from government side. I think it's a tremendous opportunity for India and Indians to innovate at this time. Not that we don't innovate already, but a good opportunity for us to protect our innovation. So today we'll go over this a little bit, and I hope I can add some value to what you already know. So I'll go to the next slide. Today I'll cover a little bit about what is intellectual property at a very high level. The types of intellectual property, a little more about patents, because I think a lot of you might be interested in filing patents today or the years to come. Value that you get from intellectual property. So why should you spend money on doing this? Why should you spend your time and efforts? Let's find out that. And if time permits, I'll cover a little bit on the other types of IP, for example, trademarks, designs, copyright, trade secrets, and what is this about? So very briefly about the company, I'm going to talk a little bit about the industry side, not really about Philips. It's because a lot of companies spend a lot of money, a lot of time innovating. So I'm just giving an example of Philips here. We started inventing at around 1905 when we filed the first patent. And year on year, there's been a lot of innovations going on. If you see that every invention that happens, technically, it's for the benefit of mankind, some form or the other. It's a technological advancement. So any technological advancement that happens to make anybody's life better, cheaper, faster, or anyway, at a very high level, is an intellectual aspect which could be protected, could also be monetized if you do it right. And so technology is very important, innovation is very important. So how do we go about it? So we also, as a company, this is an example of Philips, but we keep reinventing ourselves to make ourselves relevant to the customers. What do people want? What do they want to buy? What will they pay money for? These are the things that as an entrepreneur also, if you're going to get into that space, you need to start thinking about what is it that will add value to my customer's life. Very shortly, we are also very prolific filers in India. Philips is one of the top 4 or 5 filers in India itself. Globally, we have a huge patent portfolio, about 62,000 patents. We have several trademarks, about 70,000, a very significant number of design applications, and etc. And we've been at the innovation edge from the beginning, doing cutting edge innovation, one way or the other. So let's see what is it that we talk about intellectual property? What does it mean? So many of you must have had purchased a piece of land or a property of some kind. When you look at the land document, you typically see that it is defined in a certain way. So if you look at a property or a house, for example, if you look at the documents, you will see that there is, it says, plot measuring so and so square feet. On the left, there is a post office, right, there's a bank, left, there is a road, right, there is another plot, etc., etc. In those documents, you actually find that there is a demarcation of the property, there is a definition of the property, where is the location, where is it situated, how do you identify the property. Now, similarly, when you talk about inventions of the mind, we need to find ways of how we can actually define this idea of yours, because it's very hard to define an idea. It can be your idea, tomorrow somebody else may say it is their idea or the third person's idea, and it becomes very confusing after some time. Whose idea was it? So a lot of inventions, if you see from the time of Alva Edison, etc. I don't want to get into that because that's another story. Did Edison really invent the bulb? It's a big question. If you look into it and dig into it, you will actually find not. It was invented by somebody else called Joseph Swan. Edison simply licensed it out. Of course, he developed it, but you know that Joseph Swan doesn't get the due credit for it because the way the whole transaction happened. So a very important thing about IP is also protect it in a timely manner. Make sure that the person who invents gets the credit for the invention he or she is making. And there are a lot of examples in history. If you don't protect your invention, somebody else will take it and they will protect it under their name and they will monetize it. And the person who actually came up with the idea may not get the real benefits of all his or her hard work. So let's go to the next thing. So IP is all about ring fencing your innovation, ring fencing your idea, creations of your mind. I'll go to the next slide. So when you protect, it's also about stopping others from using your idea without giving you your due credit. So I know in academia, it's a very different concept. They say that, you advance technology, you publish papers, etc., etc. But in the real world, what happens is if you have a good invention, it's also good to file patents at the same time when you publish. Because you will also have, so patents are a kind of monetizable asset. You can license them, you can sell them, you can even give it to your generations in the future. It's an asset that you can give just as you would do a physical property. I will not go into all those details again, but it's a property in the end. You can make money out of it if you choose to, if you decide to, and it will help. It can be for an institute, it can be for anybody. And then when you have that kind of protection and ring fencing, you can actually protect it from people who will infringe upon your rights without your permission. Now let's look at the types of intellectual property. There is creations of the mind. As we said, there is invention, there is design, there is know-how, there is product or service, and there is work of art. Now there are different ways of protecting this. When it's a technical invention, technology involved, it's usually protected as a patent. When there is a logo, trade name, etc., it is protected as trademarks. There's a know-how, a technological advancement that cannot be really protected under a patent protection scheme. It is known as trade secret. And then there are copyrights for your work, your brochures, your publications, books, so on and so forth. Now, broadly, if you look at WTO's norms, there are two types. One is copyright and rights related to copyright, which includes all kinds of literary right, computer programs, algorithms, cinematography, lyrics, photography, etc., etc. And then there's the industrial property, which includes trademarks, and there is patents, and there is designs. Now, in the next few slides, we'll go over what each of these means and what are these types of IP. So if you have, for example, a photograph or a software or a text, maybe, this is something that is can be categorized as a literary work. So it usually is protected under copyrights, under the Copyright Act of India. If there is a distinguishing sign, many of us over time develop brand loyalty. It's a very, very big thing. In fact, Many times the brands of companies, the brand logos and brand names, actually the value of these runs into several billions. The value of GE brand, for example, is very high. The value of Apple is very high. The value of Philips brand, if you see, it's around $12 billion. We're talking about very, very huge numbers, but this takes time and effort also by the company to develop that kind of brand loyalty over a period of time. So when you go, for example, to the market to shop and you go to a electronic shop, you would probably ask for a phone by the brand name. You may ask for a Samsung or an Apple. But many times it may happen that the technology underlying may be very similar, but you ask for a phone because of the brand name, because it has a certain value. And that's covered under the trademarks. The shape and appearance of products, not the technological aspect, the shape of design, the design of any technological product, like a phone or a mixie or a refrigerator. If it is unique, it can be covered under the design rights. And then there are the patent rights for the technology. All technological aspects are covered by patent rights. And if there's just a know-how, which is not protectable under patents, quite often qualifies as a trade secret. Trade secrets are usually two types, business and technical. Business trade secrets could be customer list, it could be your brochures, not brochures, sorry, customer list, it could be your contacts, their email ID, or it could be certain aspects of technology that is not publicly known. And there is technical trade secret, of course, which is different, and it's different from a business trade secret. Just want to check, am I still audible? Otherwise, I'll keep speaking and I won't know if you can hear me or not. Am I audible still?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Okay, thanks for confirming that. Okay, now moving on to the next slide. This is just an example of a Motorola phone. I'm just giving an example where you say that there is underlying technology in the phone. Just let's assume for a minute that there is only one type of, so all the IP, all the patents under which would be within this phone, enabling the phone to work, to receive calls, to send messages, to accept calls, etc. And send calls is probably covered under the technological aspect. The design of it, which will make you differentiate between a sleek model, a light model, a bigger model, or smaller model, is all covered by the shape of this device. And that is protected under design rights. And then the symbol that you see on top, the Motorola symbol, or you would see, somewhere it would be written as Nokia or BlackBerry or Apple. The name, the trademark, the name of the company is actually covered under a different IP right called trademark. And the manual that you will receive along with this phone, the literary work that goes into writing how this phone is to be used, would probably be covered under a copyright. So very, very high level distinction between how a single product can have different forms of IP at the same time. Now, quite often when you go into the market, I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs who are not aware that when you go to the market, you need to probably also have patents for sure if you have technology. As you grow as a company, probably you also need to invest on getting the right trademarks which are protectable, so that tomorrow if you become a famous company, famous name, famous startup, you can still distinguish yourself and nobody can free ride on the IP that you have, the goodwill that you've generated over time. Many times for bigger companies, it becomes like, it's something what we call as integrated asset management. That means we plan and decide on what kind of IP we want upfront before the product launch, or even at the product development stage. Sometimes, do we want to only do patents? Do we want to do patents and trademark? Should we also file design? Is it a unique design? Then yes. Are there some aspects that we don't want to disclose completely? So maybe we'll keep it as a trade secret, and the copyright. So this thinking through about these things should probably happen at the stage when you are developing your idea, developing your technology, and then you have to think through over 3 years, 5 years, what will I do with this? Where do I see this going? Because sometimes it will happen, if you're not protecting your trademark well enough, it will happen that you use it for 2 years, somebody will come and say, no, I have a similar trademark, you have to stop using. At that point in time, it's possible that your patent life has already expired. And if you don't think through, you will lose your trademark and people will not be able to find out what is the true thing that you brought to the table. It gets very blurry and confusing at that stage of time. So better to think through in the beginning. So going to now, I'll focus a little bit more on patents because I think that's where the primary interest is. So let's go to that. Now, as we discussed, patents is for any technological advancement, anything that goes into developing something new. Here we have certain monitors. It could be a new television, for example, a new coffee machine. It could be what I have down as a MRI machine here. The DVD discs, which has been a legacy Philips product for which we have ongoing litigation at the Delhi High Court. And then, of course, the coffee maker, which is, as you can see, the design looks very sleek and nice. It's a very famous, it's not so much sold in India. It's very popular outside of India because of the shape. Now, one very important thing to remember is your patents don't always have to be very, very complicated. It doesn't have to be an MRI machine or a CT scanner, for example. You will note that in the historically, very simple inventions which are meeting the need of a person, a public. It can be very simple. In fact, the simpler the better, because that much easier it becomes to manufacture or sell it. So these kind of inventions can also be patentable. Now, this is of course older patents. They may not be valid right now, but the fact remains that they have been filed as patent applications at some time. So this is a very simple post-it note. You have a safety pin. Then there is this device. I'm sure you must have seen it when you go to a shoe shop and you have to see the size of your shoe. You will use this device, which is that measurement tool. As simple as something like a U-pin, for example, or Tupperware. These are the Croc shoes. So you would be surprised at the level of simplicity sometimes these inventions are, and sometimes very, very simple inventions are so very useful. So don't disregard because you feel that it's a very simple invention. You may probably also be having a breakthrough in your hand, and we need to look at that. So let's go into what is patentability. Very, very importantly, we need to know what are these things? How does a product or a solution become patentable or not? A few criteria which is used across patent offices globally are, first one is being the novelty aspect. That means whatever you develop has to be new. It is absolutely new, so fine. Second thing is it should not be obvious. That means it should not be obvious to somebody to think of that idea. Somebody who is as qualified as you, as knowledgeable as you, come from the same field, to think of it very easily. So it should not be something that is really obvious. And then it has to have an industrial application. Now let's go over this a little bit more in detail, because usually absolute novelty is quite possible, right? Now let's take, since many of you are coming from the pharmaceutical background or forensic science, you have a new chemical structure, for example, and you know that there are patent protection for the structure, etc., etc. And you add a subchain, a side chain to that, a ethyl or methyl group, or maybe aromatic ring or whatever. Normally, you may think that, yeah, it's very new. It was not been discussed before. It has never been patented. It is never published anywhere. So it's a new compound. It's possible that you have come up with a new compound. The question remains is another person like you who's also having similar qualifications will be able to understand that this particular initial compound that you had, for example, has an anti-cancer property. If you provide the side chain, will it still have the anti-cancer property or not? It's possible, right? Now, the question is that, is it that obvious? If it is obvious, then that does not fit into the criteria of patentability. Now, in order to be patentable, it has to meet all these three criteria, the first, second, and third I have here. It should be novel, it should not be obvious, and it should have industrial applicability. The reason we have industrial applicability is if something is frivolous, it is novel, it is non-obvious, assuming that you come up with a device for mass destruction, for example. Now, although it is novel, it is non-obvious, the patent offices will not grant it because it doesn't have industrial applicability in the sense that it is against public morality, right? You're developing something which is not for the public good. Therefore, it may not be considered patentable by the patent office. The examiner may not give you the patent. So it has to be industrial applicable in the sense that it should be manufacturable in the industrial scale, and etc., etc. Now, it should have a technical character, but here we're not talking about plain designs, or there is a separate way to protect plant variety protection. So we're not going to talk about that. We talk about technical in the sense of non-plant, non-living creature kind of way. And that's, of course, a different subject altogether. Microbes, are they protectable or not, and etc. etc. The very famous case laws around that. Bioengineered microbes, are they protectable because they're not naturally occurring? But that's a different, very, very elaborate discussion. So today I'll just keep it to here. Very important point to remember is the lifetime of a patent is usually 20 years. Unless there are special concessions given to it because of it's a pharmaceutical product, or it is for orphan drugs, for example, or it is for pediatric use, then the time may be extended based on the country to some extent. Other important thing is patent right is a very territorial right. That means if you have a patent right for India, that doesn't automatically give you right for China or for Europe or for US, although it may if you have also filed and got granted patents in those countries. So it's a very territorial right granted by the country, by their own patent officers, patent examiners, for you to use that or to enjoy that right within that country. Okay. Now, of course, one more thing is for something to be patentable, it has to be technological advancement, at least completely if possible, or if not in part, partly, a novel. So that is, of course, the trade-off that you need to recognize. Quite often, inventors are at a dilemma. Should I keep it? Should I file a patent application, or should I keep it as a trade secret? Patent applications are expensive. Also based on the country that you're filing, it may be expensive, time consuming. But however, they give you a monopoly for 20 years. That's great. But the trade-off is, of course, you get a right to exclude each other, etc. But after 18 months, usually everything that you've done is in public domain. That means it is published. Now, what happens sometimes after your publication, if your invention is not strong enough, the patent examiner will start examining after 18 months, and he may decide sometimes to not grant you the patent because it is not patentable enough. Therefore, it's very important to do your patentability analysis upfront before you decide to file or not. Because at that point, if you feel that there are too many other patents around that, which may challenge its novelty or obviousness, it is just safer to keep it as a trade secret, because that way you don't end up disclosing your invention completely. So that analysis before you file a patent is very important. Specifically, especially we talk about this a lot in the industries because there's time, effort, and energy gone into this. And if it's not going to bear the results, and you also end up losing your, because of the disclosure, then it's not useful. So this thinking through has to happen usually before you decide to file an application. The term of a patent is 20 years. Usually, if you have a good, strong patent, good, well-written claims, it is also something that you can license out. Even if you may not use on your own, you can license it out. You can sell it after some time based on how useful the technology is. Now, let's look at the rationale of a patent. A patent implies making a deal. It's the right to exclude others from exploiting the invention during the limited period, that is 20 years, usually, versus the obligation to disclose the invention in detail to support technical progress. Now, when you do this, when you have a patent, you have very, very good reasons then, because then you can go to the patent office or to the court, and you can exclude other people from using your invention without your permission. And you can go to the court and you can ask for damages, etc., etc. All that is possible as a measure to protect your invention. Okay, the considerations, let's go to it. About what other considerations should you have? So we spoke about novelty, non-obviousness, industrial application, technical advancement, etc. Over and beyond that, your idea itself has to be something that the customer would pay for. It has to be a monetizable business idea, which has got some business value. So if everything else is right, but you feel that there is no customer who would use your idea in some way or the other, then it may not be a good idea to go ahead and file a patent application. It should also be something that people are not able to design around. Now, for example, you have all the other criteria. You have novelty, non-obviousness, industrial application. You have business idea, right? But if it's something people can design around and find an alternate solution to what you have provided, again, all the efforts can be waste because somebody else will sell it for a much cheaper price, and they will not buy. People will not buy the product that you are trying to sell. Then it has to be detectable. Now, this is very, very important in terms of software related inventions, because quite often they're not. It is very difficult to detect a software infringement. If you cannot detect it, then Everything else is, so you have to be able to detect it, because if tomorrow you want to go to the court or the patent office or somewhere else and say that somebody is infringing on my right, you need to have evidence. As per the Evidence Act, you have to show that they have done something that is showing misappropriation of your rights. Now, if it is not detectable, if you cannot prove that, then again, it's a problem, because nobody will believe if you're saying that. And therefore, it has to be detectable. It's a more of a problem for software inventions where it is not easy to prove that. Then coming to the other thing, the exclusive right is for right of the patent owner for manufacturing, for commercial use, for making commercially available. You can even license it, sub-license it. A lot of pharmaceuticals companies do this, right? So we have patent rights, or sometimes if you don't have enough capacity to manufacture it in India, you will also sub-license to many other third-party contractors who will manufacture it for a fee. And you can sell it to the patients, to the customers, and then still monetize the invention. Then let's look at what can be patented. Now, either it can be inventions, it can be a solution to a technological problem. Usually, we say that a solution to an unmet need, for example, it can be either a product or a process. It can be a combination as well. It can be certain countries also allow new use of a known substance. For example, if you have a drug which is known for an antiviral property, and after some time somebody finds that it can also be used for, maybe like a something for treating some other condition, then it's possible to find a new use of a known substance. In certain countries, that's also allowed. Now, what I have here is a very interesting video. I just want to say again that your patent technology need not be, a rocket science. Here I have the picture of Michael Jackson, who is doing this famous show where he is doing this dance. And in this dance, he goes back and forth, almost defying gravity. Interestingly, he's a celebrity. He's he's like a rock star. But what he did was he filed patent applications for this, something like this. You can see this. There's a ridge over here. The shoe fits in very well. And once your shoe fits into this, even if you go back, the center of gravity is not impacted, and that you don't fall down. As a result, he filed a patent for this. So, it's not like people, so some people monetize on their inventions like this. So just an example of how even a simple invention can become a subject matter of a patent. You can see here, Jackson here. Okay. Now, of course, everything under the sun is not patentable, but for good reasons, I think. There are something known as patentability exclusions, and let's look at some of them. So discoveries, that means what is occurring in nature publicly, is usually not allowed, because they are already in the nature. There's nothing new to invent, nothing new that person has contributed to. So like bacteria, naturally occurring bacteria, viruses, plants are usually not patentable. Aesthetic creations are not allowed because they come under the category of design protection. Mental acts, for example, art of doing, playing a game, or it could be art of gambling, or it could be art of solving a problem. It could be, mentally solving something, for example. Those things are usually exempt are not allowed under several Patent Act of several countries to be patentable. Computer programs are not usually allowed. But in India right now, computer program is an algorithm that has a technical advancement, meets a technical requirement. It's for a technological aspect, and it's combined with the hardware, can be protected. A method of doing business is not protectable. Presentation of information is not protectable. These are few of the exclusions, but there are a few more. But usually we also know that frivolous inventions, etc., are not patentable because the government doesn't want to support these kind of things. You will not get the monopoly or the right on such inventions. Now, a very important thing for research people is to remember that any document can destroy a novelty, because if you're disclosing, now if you're talking about it at a conference, for example, and then you have filed a patent application, and whatever you spoke at the conference becomes available in public domain, then it can be a problem from the novelty angle that we spoke about. So if you want to still share the information, you have to share it in a manner that doesn't impact your patent protection ability later on. And you'll have to factor in those things or mask it in a way that it doesn't become a problem later on. Now, this is an example of a very famous, it's an invention where an inventor actually filed for this patent application. This is about how can you remove a sunken ship from the bottom of an ocean. Now, you would think that, so this person came up with a lot of ping pong balls, which were filled with air, and he lets it in, and then he lifts up the ship, and the ship comes up because of the buoyancy. But funnily enough, in this case, this was actually revealed in a comic strip many years back. So if you have read the Donald Duck comic strip, you will find that this has been revealed in a different. So I'm not sure if the inventor was actually aware of this prior art or not. Maybe he was not, because it's very difficult to go over every single piece of literature available in the public domain. But as it turns out, this was found out by somebody. And they certain patent offices have this third-party submission provision in Europe, for example. And then this was shown, and the person did not get the patent. So be very careful if you're publishing before filing a patent. If you have a patentable invention which you believe is monetizable, it's a very strong, great invention, then please think about how you want to share that information. You can always publish it, but be careful if you want to monetize that. How do you want to manage timelines of both is something I think we should discuss about, and do whatever is the best for you. This is again, if you're getting into an industrial relationship or getting relationship with third parties, make sure that before you discuss your ideas or with anybody, please have a non-disclosure agreement signed with the party, and also have it signed by somebody who's an authorized representative of an organization. So if you're discussing with a company or with a startup, etc., make sure that the person who signs on the NDA also has the legal right to do so and is authorized by the organization to sign, because otherwise we'll end up with a document which does not have any bearing in the court, for example. Now, again, non-obviousness, just giving some examples. So if invention is obvious if it is derivable from the prior art in a simple and straightforward way by a fictitious person whom we say is skilled in the art. Skilled in the art is as skilled as the inventor concerned, and if they are able to think about it, that means it is not patentable because it is obvious. Now, there are some examples here, examples of obviousness, mere combination of prior art, like if you have an LED bulb and you just combine it with a glass bulb, put a LED into a glass bulb, maybe it's obvious, so it may not be patentable. Similarly, a pump driven by electric or hydraulic motor, just because you make it a hydraulic motor from a existing electric does not mean that it's totally new. One-way street solution, example, LED produces heat and it can be used as a heat sink, something like that. Also, if it is, then it usually, and also many times when we talk about this with the patent examiners, it can be very subjective. It can be subjective between the countries. It can be subjective between the examiners. So it's very hard to say clearly what will be granted, what will not be granted, because it is sometimes so specific to the person whom we are dealing with, but these are general guidelines. So I'll talk a little bit about how does a patent document look. I'm assuming that you might have already seen this, or you may be looking at a patent. So what should you look for? This is anatomy of a patent. If you look at a patent document, for example, you will have the front page, which has the title written over here. If you look over here, there's a title. It says lamp assembly over here. Below that is the name of all the inventors who have contributed to the patent. Then there is an assignee. Here we have the name of Phillips, but assignee is the person who actually owns the patent. In companies, for example, you may have inventors and assignees are different. Inventors are people who are inventing the particular invention, and assignee is the person who's actually owning it. So although these people have filed the patent, they are the inventors because of the obligations that they have, the employment obligation that they have with the companies. Usually we sign off this agreement saying that whatever I do, in lieu of the payment that that person receives, everything that they do is belongs to the company. So what happens is, although you have inventors over here who are employees of the company, the patent is actually owned by the company itself. And then they have the right to sell it, to license it, or to monetize it, or to abandon it. All that is a right that the company has, not the individual who has invented it. Now, this one was done through the PCT route, which I'll talk about a little while. PCT is a treaty that a number of countries have filed for facilitating faster and cheaper grants of application. So this was filed to the PCT treaty route, and therefore you have PCT. And over here you have the abstract of the invention, which is like a very brief summary of the invention itself. And then you have the diagrams, which are explaining exactly what are the components of this invention and what are they interplay with each other and what do they actually do. So this is the first page, usually this for a US patent, but similarly, if you find an Indian patent, you will find maybe not everything in the same way that's been presented here, but quite similar. Or if you look at a European patent, you will find all this information, but may not be in the same, the way it's laid out here. It could be in different places or different pages, but the information should usually be there. So next, let's look at the document itself, the technical document. Patent is a techno-legal document. Next page you look at here, you will have now on top something we call as the background of the invention. Before that, there's the field of the invention. The field of the invention is usually the only purpose it serves is when you are filing the invention, it is for the docketing clerk to be able to categorize it in a certain class of invention. So this is usually enough information for the clerk to put it in the category that he believes it should go to. But after that, you have something known as the background of the invention, which is about talking about what has happened so far, what is the technical advantage that this particular invention is bringing to the table, and in comparison. Usually the background talks about all the prior art. We usually talk about the closest prior art, and it also talks about the downfalls of them. For example, why is it not good enough? And what was the reason why you had to come up with a new invention that you have in this patent document? So it talks about this had this feature, but unfortunately it was not able to do this. But I have an invention here, which in addition to all the features of the previous invention can also do something more greater and more faster and more cheaper than the previous invention. Therefore, I have applied for a patent for this, and therefore please grant me the patent for this invention. Now, if you look at here, there's an objective summary, which talks about briefly, what are you trying to say? So very, very clearly, it provides the brief crux of what additional features this invention brings to the table. What exactly are we doing differently? It can be point-wise sometimes, or it can be in paragraph, as mentioned over here. And then there is the brief, the embodiments are nothing but the examples. Sometimes they're examples of, if you have a process, for example, or if you have a new product, you will give an example of how does the product functions. So if you're having a new equipment, or let me take a pharmaceutical example, you will give an example at different temperatures, what kind of yield is obtained. You will give examples with different reagents. With this reagent, I got this kind of yield, this kind of result. With this reagent, I got this, and etc. So different modifications of the same basic concept of what you're trying to talk about in this patent. For example, if you have a pharmaceutical product, you may select a few Marquis structures with slight variance. In your Marquis structure, you will have all the different kind of substituents captured, but you will then over here talk about, if I had one ethyl substituent in one point, I got this kind of a result. If I had two, I got this. If I had three, etc., etc. But overall, your claims are about a new pharmaceutical product, which is an anti-infective or an anti-diabetic, etc. But within the broader concept of that anti-diabetic, you will have many different variants which are claimed in one patent document. And then you will have the object of the invention, then you will have the description, the embodiments of the different examples within the broader claims. And then you have the drawings, which are talking about exactly what is happening, what are the, so here this probably is a mechanical invention. So we have different parts, and these parts will be explained in the claims, explained in the description, and they will be also described a little bit in the claims. And then the most important part of your patent is the claim. The claims are, like I showed you, the fencing. Like in the property document, you define in the north, there is this, in the south, there is this, on the east, on the west of your property. Similarly, the patent claim defines your invention. It kind of boundaries the invention, is what is it that you're claiming. Now, important thing about it is you should not ask for too much, because if you ask for too much, you are infringing on somebody else's right. It's possible that you're infringing on somebody else's right, but you ask for too less, then you're probably leaving a lot of places around your patent for somebody else to claim later on, which can sometimes become a problem, because if it is very close to yours, enforcing your patent or using it So it can sometimes become a problem because it can be open to litigation, etc. So it's actually an art and craft, I would say, to how to cull out the exact detailing that you should include and what you should not include in the claims. The claims are the most important part of your document. They actually define your invention, and it has to be done in a very, very clear, I would say, also smart way, the claim drafting part. Now, the claims can be for a product or a method. It can be for a new solution. Application, it's sometimes for a new use based on the country you're filing. And then there are two types of claims. There are dependent and independent claims. Independent claims are the different aspects of the invention, and the dependent claims are usually the embodiments within those aspects which are claimed separately. I'm giving an example here for a tennis racket, and we have a tennis racket, for example, but it can be claimed in a different way. For example, here the claim reads as an apparatus for holding items comprising 4 legs, 16 screws, and a top, or it can be claimed as a game device comprising a handle, a head portion connected to the handle, and a protrusion being secured to the handle. Or it can also be claimed as a game device comprising a handle, a head portion, and a protrusion. Or wherein this is another one where you have the prior art first, that means a game device having a handle, a throat portion, and a head portion connected to the throat portion. So this is all the prior art that you have. And then wherein is the connecting word we have, wherein the improvement comprises the protrusion being secured to the handle. So maybe there was no screws involved earlier. It was probably, like a molded racket. You now have a racket which has got probably screws which are holding it, and therefore the improvement is a protrusion being secured to the handle. So, I mean, these are different ways based on how you can claim invention. There is no rule that fits all. It is done to be done based on situation to situation, looking at your prior art, looking at what other patterns are, looking at what makes sense also. Now, rights conferred by a patent, for example, as I said, it's a very territorial right. That means it's based on the countries that you file. It affords the protection. It allows you for manufacturing, commercial use, and for selling. The limitations are that it's for a limited time period. That means it is for 20 years. Usually for drug patents, after 20 years, that means anybody else can manufacture, so long as they have the marketing rights to do so. And then it depends on the territory, because if you don't have a patent in India, you can still manufacture. But if you have a patent in Japan, you cannot sell the patent to Japan because it's protected under patent in Japan. So these things are considerations that are to be taken in when you have this, but I'm sure anybody who is a patent attorney or anybody can advise on those things in detail, because those are important considerations, because it can also be expensive to make those mistakes. Coming to the next part is how does this whole thing work, right? How do you file? Where do you file? What do you do, etc. When you have an invention, first thing is to do a search. After you do the search and you're confident that you have an invention which is new, which is patentable, which is obvious, which has a business requirement, not detectable, etc., etc. You can take either some people, you can also draft the claim on your own. If you're qualified enough, if you have the expertise, and if you have the experience, you can do the claim drafting. There is a bit of a difference in how the claims are drafted in India versus UK versus, for US versus Europe. There's a bit of a change in language, and it can be tailored accordingly. But most of the background and other things should still be common. Your prior art documents, the background information, your objects, etc., will be similar. And once you have decided on that, there are a few forms that need to be filed with the patent office. There is one declaration of invention, there is form 1, there is form 2. And then there are a few other forms that will go along with this, power of attorney, etc. You can file it, so an inventor and a patent applicant can file it, or you can also do it through an agent. There are certain fees that need to be paid, and then your filing happens. Now, when you're filing, this is called the first filing. It can be in any country of origin. In India, the law is that if you've been invented over here, you have to file in India. If not, take a permission for foreign filing. There's a process involved in that. And you first file, and then there is a couple of conventions involved over here. India is a party to the Paris Convention. That means you can file within the first year in the countries that are signatory to the Paris Convention. You can also use the PCT route, which is many times preferred over other routes because it allows you. So the ballpark figure is around more than four countries if you want to file. It's usually cheaper to go through the PCT route than filing directly. Now in this figure, you see that assuming this is first filing, you can go to different countries directly, of course, but you can also file via the PCT route. So you have the first filing, you finalize your claims because there's 1 year period that you have to, improve your claims, etc. And then you do the final filing, and then there is the international body that you go to. PCT also does its own searching. They also search, and then they will publish your patent application. Post that, armed with the search report, if the search report is really good, and if the patent office says you have a novel and non-obvious invention, which is, you can then go to each of the national offices, and then you will have very simple process, and then your patent is already granted. If you look at the process in itself, usually from the first filing to the publication is 18-month period. And then there is a search that takes around between 18 to 30 months, you will get your search report. And after the search report, you can start filing your national phase immediately. And then takes about depending on the country, right? In US and all, you get 3 to 4 years, you can get a patent. India also is getting very fast now. We get patents as early as 4 years, 3.5 years sometimes. And then you get the patent in the country. And then there is, of course, cost factor involved based on the country. But of course, you're a startup, a lot of discounts are offered from the Indian government these days. So it makes it very, very cheap. I wouldn't say cheap really, but much more cheaper than what it used to be earlier. Now procedure. Just repeat this again, in fact. So you have the first year priority filing year. You have the international filing, publication. Then you have the national phase entry as we spoke. And then there's the examination. So each country will examine even after PCT, they will go through a brief examination just to make sure that it fits into the patent act of that country. There are things that are exclusions. So if you're filing in Europe, for example, but in India, there are exclusions for certain technologies, you may not get granted in India because it's again a territorial country specific, right? And then you will have probably grant in other countries, China and Europe, etc., based on the local patent law. But usually the PCT filing, if you are able to get through, you can add or delete a few claims here and there and get your patent published in different countries. This is the thing. Very importantly, I'm just going to touch this a little bit, is why do you need IP? Why do you need patent? Again, the important question before we do anything is usually why should we do it, right? Why should we do it? Why should I spend time and energy? What will you get out of it? So let's look at it. One advantage of filing patents, having any kind of IP is you have more money. You're able to make more money than you lose, right? So if you're an enterprise or if you're a business, you want to make more money and lose less money, and therefore you file for IP. Now, sorry, let's look at what happens now. There are 4 different reasons to file, for example, patent. One is what will happen is if you're like a product company, if you're a medical device company like Philips, for example, some of the reasons why we file this is because we have higher margins. We can get more margins for our products because nobody else has patents in that area. Customers will pay a little bit higher because there's no comparable technology available. On the second hand, sometimes we may file because it allows us to operate in an area which is very crowded otherwise. It has something for us to bargain, It gives us some freedom to operate. Otherwise, it would be like a patent thicket. There are many patents out there. You want to single out yourself without being eaten up by other people. Then you would have freedom to operate over there. Sometimes you have a technology which is so good that not only do you manufacture on your own, you can also license it to somebody else. Then you make additional revenue for your products. And if nothing else, you don't have to, you end up cross licensing with some other company so that you end up paying, you don't enter into litigation, for example. So you don't lose that much of money. So these are the reasons. So this is exclusivity when you say higher margin. We have cross licensing, then you have the lower costs involved with litigations, therefore. And then freedom to operate, we can, it's like a coexistence settlement, right? When there are other companies operating, we have patent, you have patent. So we will not fight against each other. It's more like that. So this I've finished now for the pattern part. I think I would leave some time for questions, if that's okay.
Thank you so much, Chitra ma'am. Chitra ma'am, we have received a few questions on YouTube because we are currently live on YouTube also. The questions is, ma'am, is there any limitation of publication of patent at individual level or at an organization level?
Well, it actually depends. Many companies will not allow you to. Usually, it's like this: when you're employed with a company, right? There is a certain amount of information that you already have access to. For example, so if you're working in a technology company, you have knowledge on the technology, and the company will usually have problems if you want to file as an inventor, individual inventor on the same technology or relating to it, because that could be an overlap of your area. But depending on the company it is, they may not have problem if you're doing on something completely different. If you're a technology company but you want to do something on developing agriculture, for example, or it's a completely unrelated field, then your personal capacity you can do. But it's always good to check with your management to make sure that it doesn't cause any trouble because of your internal policies.
Ma'am, there is another question regarding the proprietorship of copyrights.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I didn't have time today. I would have liked to cover that. So copyright is a very unique right in the sense that for patents you need to apply, trademark you need to register. Copyright is a self-generated right. It's very, very unique because if you are an author of a document or a manuscript or whatever, all that you have to do is send an email to yourself, and then you have some way to show that it's your copyright. Earlier we used to advise our people, send a registered mail to yourself. So when you send a registered mail, it goes via a government body. So the post office is the government institute. It comes around, it comes back to your home address. That you just have to prove that you're a owner of that work. That's it. And if you can prove it, yeah, everything is about proof in the end. If you can prove, then yeah, that's how it works. Yeah. So
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your responses and your knowledgeable words. I now request Mrs. Vinny Sharma to felicitate our guest.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
My pleasure.
Yeah, ma'am. First of all, I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation on such a short notice, and always being available and helping us in when we needed to reschedule your lecture. You were very prompt for that also. So we are highly obliged, and kindly accept our small token of appreciation from our side. And we would definitely love to have you in offline mode very soon, with your due permission.
My pleasure again.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear all, thank you for joining us today. And we hope that you have gained a lot and will be joining us for tomorrow session, last day. I would like to make few announcement here. You all are required to fill in the feedback form shared with you, all in order to get certificates. Thank you all for sharing with us your precious time. I want to convey my heartfelt gratitude to all the speakers for their enriching words.